And that's very different than earlier times when English was spreading. So I think there's many factors that lead to why English is, that the idea of what an international language is. But why English? Why do you think English is spreading today? Why not Mandarin? Why not Hindi? Any ideas? Why is it English that's spreading? All right, British Empire, what else? British Empire, right, so that the British came and oversaw, right, the idea was that the sun never sets on the British Empire, right? It was all over the world. All right, so the British Empire, why else? Okay, technology, mass media.
Second World War in the United States.
The what?
Second World War in the United States.
The war?
Well, the United States established a local military presence.
Okay.
As a result of the aftermath of the war.
All right, okay, of wars, right? All right, the strength of the economy of many people who speak English, that's certainly things. So it's really more it's political power. And if political power changes, it may be that it's another language. So it's very much related to economic and political power. So we've mentioned most of these, that English has become an international language because of British and American colonialism. The reason, for example, that they speak English today in the Philippines is that it was under American domination. And the reason they speak English today in Nigeria is because it was part of the British Empire. The other thing is speaker migration to English-speaking countries. So many people did leave Great Britain for other places. The other thing we mentioned, technological advancements in English-speaking countries. So whether it's the steam engine or whether it's the computer, the fact that those were developed in English-speaking countries, people want to take part of that in that technology, so they need English to learn about it. And then the economic power of English-speaking countries. But I think that the most important reason is because there's so much knowledge that's available in English today. So if we look at the kinds of things that are being dealt with in English today, that many, many fields and entertainment uses English. So Crystal, if you're ever interested, he has a very fascinating book about English as a world language. He says 73% of medical papers are published in English. That means if you're going to study medicine in Korea or Japan or Thailand, and you want to keep up in your field, you want to be able to read English. 28% of books, 33% of newspapers, 85% of films, and 99% of popular music. I mean, that's one thing that never ceases to amaze me, that no matter what country I go into, I can see Titanic, as one of the big movies, or whatever's the latest movie in the United States. There it is with lines of people waiting to get in. And personally, I don't think a lot of those movies are worth going to, but in any case, people go to it. So it's this idea that, well, this is the real thing to become part of. So that's how, at least it's providing some kind of interest or motivation. 80% of websites, but I do think that will get less and less as more countries decide that we're going to have websites that serve our local purposes for selling things, for interacting with people within your community. But the last one, 85% of international organizations. So whatever your purpose, whether it's a hobby, maybe you like to collect stamps, or you like to do certain kind of ceramics. If there's some kind of an international meeting of that hobby, it's in English. If you're a sports fanatic and you want to be able to go to some kind of organization of the World Soccer meeting, then it would be in English. So many things on an international level are in English. Lots of economic aid is given in English. So if you're a country and you want some economic support, you better know English so that you can get it. So it's these kinds of things that lead to the people wanting to know English. So we've talked now about what makes an international language and why English is an international language. But we're all involved as teachers, and so then the question is, so what does that mean for the classroom? What does it matter that I'm teaching a so-called an international language and I'm not just teaching any language? Well, I think it makes a big difference in terms of the role of culture. So let's look for a minute at how culture affects language teaching. First of all, culture plays a role in the language itself. That in terms of words, the making of new words, culture is very relevant. I'm told that many languages spoken by people of Eskimos and so forth have many words for snow. They can talk about wet snow and powder snow and snow that just fell and snow that's icy because snow is important to them. That in Japanese there are many words for rice. Rice that's growing, rice that's been cooked, cold rice, and so forth. So if something's important in your culture, you coin new words for that. So culture has a way of changing and affecting the words, the semantic level. Culture also has a role in pragmatics, and that is what's appropriate. So, for example, there's some indication that in many Indian languages, that if someone compliments you, you often don't acknowledge the compliment. So if someone says, that's a very nice shirt you're wearing, the other person would probably say nothing, or very often say nothing. Now, in other cultures, someone might say thank you or something else, but so what a culture decides is polite behavior is what they'll do with the language. Whether you're going to, for example, use very formal language with someone older has to do with pragmatics. Discourse is how things that are written are organized. So, for example, if you're writing an argument, if you're writing it in the United States, you normally say right in the beginning, I believe that, and then you state your position, and then you give your support. Whereas in some other cultures, instead you say, well, there's good things about this and there's bad things about it, and there's good things and there are bad things. And maybe at the end you state an opinion, but maybe you don't. So different cultures organize their writing in different ways. And then culture also has a role in what we do in our classroom, both in terms of the content of our materials. That is, what do we talk about? Do we talk about Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King, or do we talk about local leaders and local heroes? And then our methods. The methods is, what does the culture say about what the role of a teacher should be and what the role of a student should be? In some cultures, the role of a teacher is to be in the front, give students knowledge, and then leave. In some other cultures, for example, in the United States, somehow the idea is we need to have student-centered classrooms. So it's very much the teacher shouldn't be giving knowledge. That's the idea. That's sort of the methods, the culture of learning. So different countries differ. Well, if you're learning English, which culture should you use? Do you have to use the culture of the inner circle? Is that what you have to use? Well, if English is an international language, why do we have to do what the inner circle does? Why do we have to learn about Huckleberry Finn or Shakespeare if English doesn't belong anymore to that inner circle? And so it makes a lot it really needs to make us think about what are we going to do in our classrooms. So let's look first at the level of semantics at words. All right, now on the left side, well, all of these are what are called lexical phrases. That is, they're things that you can't take them apart. they're almost like